So a spat breaks out between the Washington Post and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, resulting in WaPo deleting a portion of the offending interview. The excerpt has already been restored by the paper, which prides itself on the tagline, "Democracy dies in darkness." Its initial removal would only be a head-scratcher for those who somehow still don't know, after all this time, that in elite circles, democracy just means whatever the ruling regime likes. And so anything they don't like or find unfavorable to them or their cause can be thrust into darkness without any alarm bells of the conscience going off. But before we get into the what of the deleted then resurrected interview excerpt, let's further examine the why. As our first guest tonight writes, quote, "It's not clear why the Post deleted the portion of the interview, but it could have been done at the behest of the Ukrainian government, which had previously pressured CBS News to remove a documentary on military aid to Ukraine," end quote. Joining us now to discuss is Dave DeCamp, the host of Anti-War News with Dave DeCamp and the news editor of antiwar.com. Dave, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me, Kara.
Great. So if your hypothesis that maybe the Post initially deleted that portion of the interview at the behest of the Ukrainian government proves to be accurate, let's just say it is for argument's sake, then what would be some of the implications of that?
Well, it has a lot of implications. And as I mentioned in my article, CBS News came out with a documentary back in August 2022 about military aid to Ukraine that quoted people saying only about 30 to 40% of the weapons are making it to the front lines in Ukraine, meaning that they're being diverted somewhere else. And that documentary was very short-lived. It was removed by CBS after Ukraine's foreign minister demanded an investigation into who made the documentary. CBS said that they would correct it, but we've never seen it again. Thankfully, there's ways. The documentary lives on the internet today. I believe you could find it on places like Rumble and BitChute. But so I think there is a strong chance that maybe that's why the Washington Post removed this portion of the interview just briefly. Again, the interview was published on Saturday, and then this section, it was a pretty testy exchange between Zelensky and the Washington Post, and then it was put back Sunday night. So, we're always told that this fight for Ukraine is about democracy and freedom and human rights. But if you look at the Zelensky government, since Russia's invasion and going back before then, he's really consolidated power. He banned the leading opposition party in Ukraine's parliament. He banned several opposition parties, but the leading opposition party basically banned independent media. The government has pretty tight control over what gets out. And that's part of the reason why it's so tough to know what's happening inside Ukraine. There's this huge war going on, but we can't really get an idea of how many casualties there are because of this information control. And, this goes to show that this type of control, it's not just in Ukraine, it extends out into the United States. The Ukrainian government also put out a list of so-called Russian propagandists a few months back. And it included many, American scholars and foreign policy analysts who just, they accuse of being pro-Russia just because they say things that the Ukrainian government doesn't want people to hear. So that is kind of their attitude. And because of how intertwined their government is now with ours, of course, we're going to feel the effects here.
And so now it's, I guess, time to get to the what, or the meat of what was this excerpt about? Why was it removed? Can you explain for us what exactly happened? As you said, it was kind of a testy exchange between Zelensky and, the Post authors. I was wondering if you could explain that for us.
Yeah, so the question the Post asked Zelensky was about, and this is, they cited one of these Discord leaks that, first surfaced on the internet a few months ago. But now this is kind of a whole nother story, is that the Washington Post and the New York Times, since those leaks were discovered, are now selectively reporting on these documents, and they don't publish the whole thing. So we don't really know what the whole story is with these leaks that they're reporting on now. But so they asked Zelensky about this leak that they say they have that shows there was contact between Ukraine's military intelligence and Yevgeny Prigozhin, who is the head of the Wagner Group, the Russian mercenary force that's doing most of the fighting in Bakhmut, where the heaviest fighting has been going on, where lots of Ukrainians and Russians are being killed. And when Zelensky was asked about this, he said, "Who told you that?" It was basically what he asked. He said, because this is a felony in Ukraine to discuss this sensitive information. This is treasonous.